So I have two stories that I want to share with you guys today. The first one is from, I think, last year or the year before. I was contacted by a photographer to be a second shooter for her. We had never met previously. I was referred to her by a friend. So I showed up on the day. Everything was going great. We were shooting for a few hours, and then it was time for us to drive to the reception. So we were driving separately, and when I was heading to my car, this photographer said, just wait 1 second. I just want to talk to you quickly. And I'm a little bit of an anxious person, so my mind kind of immediately goes to the negative, thinking like, oh no, I've done something wrong. I'm not doing a good job. Maybe she just wants to offer me constructive criticism because, that's always welcome. So she pulled me aside and she said, I don't know how to tell you this, but the pants that you're wearing are see-through. Then she proceeds to tell me, yeah, I can see your leopard printed underwear.
When I first started my wedding photography business back in 2011, I made just $5,000 in my business. Now, I bring in multiple six figures per year while working only 30-hour weeks serving my dream couples. I'm here to help you discover that it's so possible to have what you want when you want in your business so that you can create the life you've always dreamed of and deserve.
Yay, I'm so excited for this episode. It's all about embarrassing shit that happened to wedding photographers, and the timing couldn't have been perfect because I'm using these helium balloons from my birthday, and I've been saving them for this exact moment. So first, I'm going to dive into telling you my most embarrassing story from my 9 years of shooting. So to start off my story, picture this. We were both butt naked, dancing on the bathroom floor. No, I'm joking. I had to do it. I'm talking about embarrassing. I can't believe I got that lyric wrong. It's supposed to be banging on the bathroom floor. Anyway, I'm going to wait till this helium leaves my lungs and I'm just going to start telling my story. So basically, my most embarrassing story happened when I was actually in Paris, out of all places, photographing an elopement. And we were at this platform area where basically it's like one of the most popular locations to be able to see the Eiffel Tower in the background, and you have this beautiful platform where the couple can be, and there's like this beautiful like separation from the background that can be super blurry while the Eiffel Tower is like looking just incredible. So we were at that spot. I was so excited. I was like, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm shooting them in Paris right now. And what I had them do is just kind of go to the edge of the platform and just start walking and talking towards me. You know how we photographers, we do that like candid kind of ish shot of, okay, now you guys just like walk towards me and just talk, like look around, just enjoy the moment of you guys walking along in Paris. And of course, as they're walking towards me, what I do a lot is I backtrack as they walk towards me so that I keep getting the perspective I want, and I get them a little bit closer in the frame so that they are very much in focus and the background is nice and blurry. It's just kind of like part of my style of how I shoot. So I'm just so focused on them like looking amazing, the background look amazing, and I'm walking backwards as I'm shooting. Out of nowhere, I don't even know what happened and how it happened so quickly. I fell over this like edge, and it was like a 4 to 5 foot drop, and I was wearing a skirt, by the way, just so you know. It was like a longer skirt to like my to my what's it called, calves, but I was wearing a skirt and I was falling backwards, and as I'm falling backwards, I'm realizing that I'm still falling, and I'm realizing how long the drop is. But my brain just went into like the mode of like protecting my cameras and my head. So what I did was I had my hold fast like strap on with 2 cameras. Right away, I was already holding one camera in my right hand. I grabbed the other one really quickly. Also, I was like, okay, engage the abs so that I don't freaking break my head open. And I somehow didn't hit my head, but I literally fell back over like how do you call it?
like just a little edge. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like a concrete edge, like, you know, when maybe there are stairs and you walk down the stairs and then you're down at a lower level, and beside the stairs are usually edges that kind of wrap around for like safety for people, you know, not to like fall over, trip over or whatever. And so yeah, I was falling back. I landed on my ass. My foot was hanging up still on the ledge, like on the top. So the only thing, if the couple looked up, the only thing they would have seen was my foot just hanging. And then my camera on my left hand, even though I was holding it, actually smashed on the ground. And my head was fine. I just fell on my ass on my back. And I'm like, holy shit, what just happened? And of course, there's like a ton of tourists everywhere, people walking around. I'm like, my ass is out because I'm wearing a skirt. And the first thing I hear now, as I'm like, what just happened, is, oh my God, where's Sarah? Where's Sarah? And the couple, literally, they were just like so into paying attention to each other. They didn't even see me fall until they saw my hanging foot. And then I quickly I heard them coming to me. I'm like, I do not want the groom to see my crotch. Like, do not want that. I'm wearing a thong, like straight up. We got to take care of this business first. So I quickly like make sure my foot comes down quickly. I like cover my crotch with like my skirt, my crotch with my skirt. And then they come look over the edge like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm actually okay. Okay. So I stand up. They're so concerned. I look at my camera. My left side, I was using my 50 lens, and there was glass shattered, and I'm like, oh great. But then I looked and it was the filter, the UV filter protector. That's the only thing that shattered, and literally my lens was okay. I like took a couple pictures. I was checking if it was working. It was totally working. My other camera was safe. So basically I didn't get injured. My cameras were both fine. And then we just had the most funniest like belly laugh about it, because they were like, we were, you know, just like walking in Paris, like totally into each other, and then out of nowhere we look forward and you're just gone, you vanish, and then we just see your hanging foot. And they're like, holy shit. And that was like a 4 to 5 foot drop. And of course, like, people are looking around me seeing if I'm okay. I'm sure I flashed a lot of people with my ass and my crotch, so you're welcome, guys. But yeah, that was basically one of the funniest stories ever. And I actually don't get embarrassed easily. I actually prefer when shit like this happens, because it ends up being a funny story and I love to laugh. So yeah, it was fun that happened, and now I get to share it with you guys. And now coming up, there are a ton of photographers that have stories to share with you, and I've listened to them all. Oh my gosh, they're so funny. Some of them are actually embarrassing. Some of them are actually something I would get embarrassed about. And again, I rarely get embarrassed. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Yeah, keep listening, and they're going to all share their Instagram handles with you, so you can make sure to kind of like follow them along after you hear their story if you feel like you connect with them. And yeah, enjoy.
Hey, Sarah. So first off, thanks so much for putting this together. It's absolutely hilarious to think back on all of our embarrassing moments that have happened. And thank you for asking me to share my embarrassing story, even though I have way too many that I could have shared. Hi, everybody. So my name is Laura Clarke, and my Instagram handle is Laura Clarke Photos, with Clarke with an E at the end. I'm a wedding photographer as well as a photographer for content creators. So my embarrassing story happened actually quite long ago. It is something I will never forget. It always stands out as one of the most embarrassing moments of my sort of wedding photography career. And I believe it happened in 2015. So I had a wedding. I was shooting pretty big wedding party. You have to imagine maybe 16 people in total. There's a flower girl, there's a ring bearer, and I'm trying to get all these photos of the whole group. So there's a lot of people. And as I am sort of directing the girls on what to do, how to stand, and so on, I'm basically just saying, oh, okay, like move around a bit. Like you don't need to be standing still. And I tell I guess one of the bridesmaids, I'm like, oh, you can take your bouquet and just put it down to your side, or move it up, or put it down. And I go to do the action of moving my hand down to my side, and I smoked the flower girl in the head with my elbow. so hard. Like, it hurt me so much. The sound was insane. This poor little girl got my elbow right in her head. And I don't know why, but even demonstrating this act, I must have just done it with so much force for some reason. I felt so bad. And the worst part about this is, like, I have extremely pointy elbows, extremely pointy. It's like a running joke. All my friends, with my husband, with my family, that if my elbow hits something, if it's a wall or a table or whatnot, everybody asks if the wall is okay, because it's most likely injured from my elbow. Anyways, I was just mortified that this poor little girl is either going to have a concussion or that I've injured her so badly, and the parents are probably, cursing me in their heads. And anyway, she ran up to her parents, who was one of the bridesmaids and one of the groomsmen, and she wasn't even crying, nothing. She just wanted a hug, and I guess she was just embarrassed. And the entire wedding party was trying to assure me that she's totally fine and it's okay. But I could not, for the life of me, even in that moment, I'm like, how do I keep going with a smile on my face, knowing that this kid might have a freaking dent on her head? Anyways, I will never live that down. I always think about it, and I can just imagine that this family, even like going through their wedding party pictures or the family of this little girl, this wedding probably goes down in history as like the day that she was just elbowed by the photographer. Oh, so embarrassing. Yeah, so embarrassing. Anyways, that's it. That is one of my bigger embarrassing stories, and I actually have probably one story per season. So, as I'm sure so many other wedding photographers have. All right, thanks so much. Bye.
My name is Carrie Kratzer, and I am a wedding and family photographer. You can find me on Instagram at Carrie Kratzer Photography. I do want to apologize in advance, guys. I feel like I'm a little bit stuffed up from seasonal allergies. You might also hear the little squeaks of our new puppy in the background. As per Sarah, I have locked myself in a closet for the best sound, but who knows what you'll hear. So I'm so happy to be talking to you guys today. It's weird to say I'm flattered in a sense that Sarah wanted me to share my embarrassing stories with you guys. One of my many highlights. So I have two stories that I want to share with you guys today. The first one is from, I think, last year or the year before. I was contacted by a photographer to be a second shooter for her. We had never met previously. I was referred to her by a friend. So I showed up on the day. Everything was going great. We were shooting for a few hours, and then it was time for us to drive to the reception. So we were driving separately. And when I was heading to my car, this photographer said, just wait 1 second. I just want to talk to you quickly. And I'm a little bit of an anxious person, so my mind kind of immediately goes to the negative, thinking like, oh no, I've done something wrong. I'm not doing a good job. Maybe she just wants to offer me constructive criticism because, that's always welcome. So she pulled me aside and she said, I don't know how to tell you this, but the pants that you're wearing are see-through. So when I tell you I wanted to crawl into a hole, I am not exaggerating. I was mortified. I'm thinking this photographer probably thinks that I'm incredibly unprofessional. I'm worried about how many people at this wedding have now seen my underwear. Then she proceeds to tell me, yeah, I can see your leopard printed underwear. Please tell me why I chose that print for that day. I don't own a lot of, wild underwear, so I don't know if it was laundry day, whatever. Moral of the story is always bring a spare change of clothes because you never know what could happen. Either you rip your pants, you spill something on your shirt, what have you. And when you're shopping for clothes that you're going to shoot in, hold the fabric up to a light source so you can tell whether or not it's see-through. That's the best advice I can give you. I now do carry extra clothes with me. I never wear wild underwear when I'm shooting. So save yourselves the embarrassment, guys. I hope I never find myself in that situation again. I think I'm prepared now that I won't. the other story I want to share with you guys, maybe not as mortifying, but just kind of a palm to head moment. This was earlier on in my career when I was just starting to shoot weddings. A friend of mine had contacted me, and she was the maid of honor at her sister's wedding. Her sister was having a very intimate backyard wedding, on a really small budget. And her and the other bridesmaids wanted to surprise her sister with me as the photographer and for photography for her day, which was really, really special. So my friend gave me the address and, told me the details. It was short coverage, just a few hours. So I showed up, really beautiful couple, beautiful backyard, really nice wedding. Everybody was so welcoming. So I was only there for a few hours. So then when it was time for me to go, I was saying goodbye to the couple. And of course I hadn't met them previously. And so, I was talking to them and I asked them if they lived in the city, and the reason for that is because I used to hand deliver kind of a little thank you package when their photos were ready. So I asked them if they lived in the area, so I just kind of, had an idea of where I needed to deliver. And they kind of hesitated and looked at each other and then said, yeah, we live in the area. So I didn't think much of it. So I said goodbye to them. I said goodbye to my friend. And I said, we got to talking a little bit. And I said, whose house is this? It's really, really beautiful. I had assumed it was their parents. I don't know why, but I assumed it was their parents. She said, oh, it's my sister's house. Her and her husband live here. They have for a few years. So I probably went white with embarrassment. I didn't tell her that I didn't know that they lived there. I said goodbye to her and got in my car as quickly as possible. So then, fast forward a few weeks, I'm delivering their thank you gift to this couple, and I tell them what happened and, how embarrassed I was, and they laughed and they were just so gracious about the whole thing. Thank goodness. And at that moment, it's like, it doesn't help that I'm blonde, it just doesn't help matters, but they were super gracious, so now what I've learned from that is, asking for a little bit of information about the venue that you're shooting at. But those things happen and they're not always preventable. And it's so important to be humble in this business. It's a human business. It's based on human relationships. I'm still learning. Those are not the only two embarrassing stories I have. I'm sure I will have more in the future, but just be humbled by them and learn to laugh at yourself because it happens. And as a business owner, if that's what you want to do or if that's what you're currently doing, those things happen and you just got to learn to laugh with it and roll with it. And you have funny stories to tell other people because other people always love hearing, wedding stories and horror stories. So those are what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you got a laugh out of them. I do now that they have passed. And it was so great to be a part of the podcast, Sarah. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.
It happens to the best of us. We get fired up about starting our photography business, and then when we make it happen, we feel on top of the world. But then, bam, it hits us. We feel stuck with no clue of what our next best move should be. I know what that's like because I've been there many times before, but with the right guidance, I was actually able to gain clarity and achieve the next level of success I wanted in both my business and my life. So if you're ready for me to help you discover what it is that you really want next and how to make it happen one small step at a time, then head over to saramonika.com/coaching and book your coaching session with me. Remember, never stop learning and never get comfortable because your dreams lie just outside of your comfort zone. That's saramonika.com/coaching.
Hello, my name is Lauren Goodlad. I am a birth, newborn, and maternity photographer from Barrie, Ontario. My Instagram is at Lauren Bernard Photography, or you can follow me personally at lauren.goodlad. So before we get into my really embarrassing story, I just need to give you a little background on me. I am crazy. I love to be early and really organized. I arrive to every session at least 20 minutes early, and I wait down the road like a creep. And even in the winter, I'll wait down the road. I'll turn my car off because I like to be eco-friendly, and I'll just freeze, and then I'll arrive exactly on time for my session. I hate being late. So you can kind of tell where this embarrassing story is going. I will never trust a GPS again in my life. God. Okay. So this was about 8 years ago. I was a new wedding photographer. I had recently graduated from college. My friend and I, her name's Sam, we were wedding photography partners, and we worked for a local photographer who's amazing. And she had a smaller business where we would shoot in pairs, and she would help us arrange the weddings and engagement sessions, and then we would go shoot. So it was a really great way to get started in the wedding photography business. So this was like our first or second wedding season, so fairly new. And our boss, like I mentioned, she arranged everything for us. So we had an engagement session at our client's home. It was in Everett, Ontario. So I live in Barrie and Sam lived in Aurora. So we decided, like, instead of driving together, that didn't make much sense. We would just meet like down the road and chat and get ready before the shoot and then go up together. So our boss, she gave us the address, and something to note is we didn't have a postal code, which I now know is quite important. So I left Barrie with so much time. I was so organized. I was like ready to go. I ended up in the completely wrong town. I couldn't find the address. Like, my GPS was just taking me like around the same area, but like it wasn't locking in on a house. So I called Sam and I was like, I'm here. Like, where are you? I can't find the actual address. And then I explained kind of where I was, and she was like, you are not in the right space. Like, you're not in the right town or the right area. Like, I was 30 minutes in the wrong direction. And I'm like, no. She's like, yes. And I'm like the really organized one. So I'm freaking out, instant panic. I was driving an old Honda CR-V. It had no capability to charge my phone, and my phone was dying. So I quickly wrote out instructions from Sam on like a napkin that I found in my car, and tried to make it to the session. So like I mentioned, I was like 30 minutes in the wrong direction. I had been driving around forever. The session was like in less than 30 minutes, and I had to get over there. So yeah, phone's dying. My phone ended up dying. So I wrote out the instructions. I'm trying to figure out, I'm just like stressing. At this point, I had never really been outside of Barrie on my own, which was so funny. So I really didn't know like anywhere. I had no idea where Everett, Ontario was. And somehow, with her instructions, I managed to find my client's house. I was over 40 minutes late to our 1-hour engagement session. I have never been more embarrassed in my life, especially being someone who is so crazy about being on time. I walked up so flustered. I didn't know how the clients were going to react. I didn't know like what they knew. Oh my goodness. And like, we had never really met the client. We met them at our initial meeting when they decided to go with us as their photographers after they looked at our portfolio. And then this was our first time shooting together, and we were like fresh to weddings, and it was just like such a bad start. Luckily, the clients were more worried about me. Sam totally covered my butt with them, and she like held down the session. So we shot for a little bit. I got to shoot a little bit with them after being just like so flustered. And after the session, we go into Sam's car because she had a newer car where you could actually charge your phone, and she let me charge her phone, and we kind of just were like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? Like, as if. And I had 30 missed calls from our boss, from my parents, and from my boyfriend, who is now my husband. So my wedding photographer partner, Sam, she of course filled our boss in that she did not know where I was, and that she did not know if I was going to make our session. So our boss panicked. At the time, I was probably like 21, 20. So, you know, I lived with my parents. So my boss, we're really close. I had been with her since high school. She called my parents being like, hi, don't know where your daughter is. She's lost. She has no idea where she is. So then my parents panicked and called my boyfriend, who is now my husband, and he was freaking out. So I had 30 missed calls from all of them. It was like the most embarrassing experience because I'm the organized one. And like, it was just such a bad, first wedding season. Yeah, it was such a disaster. every time someone mentions Everett, Ontario, I literally cringe. Like I can't handle it. It's so bad. So my craziness has continued. I'm always extremely early, especially if it's a town I've never been to. I will like drive an hour early, find my client's house, and then go sit somewhere else. So yeah, that's my embarrassing story.
Hey, my name is Christina Stirpe, and I am a wedding photographer. My Instagram handle is Christina Stirpe Photography. Stirpe spelled Stirpe. A lot of people think it's stripe, but yeah, Stirpe. Well, I have two embarrassing stories, equally embarrassing. One of them happened a couple years ago. I was taking photos in a church, and I was trying to get some groom prep in the church, and I was kind of leaning over a little bit too far, taking some of his portraits, and my hair caught on fire. There was apparently a candle there that I did not see, so yep, my hair caught on fire. I immediately heard like the sizzle and freaked out. So the priest then looked at me. He's like, no, it's okay. You're fine. And I was like, oh my God, there was no mirror around, so I couldn't see the damage that was done. Thankfully, only the groom, the priest, and myself were in that room. But when I was out taking ceremony photos, a bunch of people kept whispering, saying, what's that smell? What's that smell? Because the entire church smelled like burnt hair. So that was fun. My next embarrassing story is equally as embarrassing. It was a very, very hot July wedding last year. So I decided to wear a flowy romper for the first time. This was my first time wearing this to a wedding and my last. So when I put on my backpack at the end of the evening to say, to pack up my things, I put on my backpack, was making my rounds to say goodbye to everybody. And little did I know that my romper got caught in my backpack and my whole bare ass was showing. So one cheek just slipped right out, and I was just walking around saying goodbye to everybody with my cheek showing. I even hugged grandma. So it was interesting. As I was leaving, this is the only reason why I know that this happened. As I was leaving, one of the bridesmaids came up to me and was just like, just so you know, like one of your, your pants are kind of tucked into your backpack. And that's when I immediately realized what had just happened. I messaged the bride the night after, just saying like, thanks so much for having me and all that stuff. And she replied back with, we had such a great time with you and we heard about what happened, LOL. So literally everybody knew. So if you didn't see, you knew. So that was the last time I wore that romper to a wedding. And yeah, just so embarrassing. So I hope you enjoyed my lovely stories, and I am very excited to hear everybody else's.
I'm taking a moment to pause this episode to share an exciting free resource with you that I know you'll definitely want to take advantage of. It's a space where I'll be going live at a minimum every 2 weeks to answer your questions, along with content to keep you motivated in between podcast episodes. It's a way for us to connect about photography, business, personal development in an uplifting, productive, and safe space. This free resource I'm telling you about right now is the Shine and Thrive podcast community on Facebook. What I felt was missing with me just podcasting was actually interacting with you and answering the questions you have along the way. I know what it feels like to feel stuck, and at times all you need is that one question answered or that kick in the ass, in the best way possible, to get your momentum going again. In short, I want to be there for you to answer your questions so that you can achieve those big and exciting results you dream of. The Ask Me Anything live sessions I'll be doing every 2 weeks are exclusive only to this community, so you want to make sure to join and get your question ready for me. So head over to Facebook right now, type in Shine and Thrive Podcast Community, and request to join. We will be waiting for you on the other side with open arms. I cannot wait to connect with you.
Hi there, my name is Carrie Ouellette. I go by Carrie J Photographer. You can find me on Instagram at Carrie J Photographer. So I have a quite embarrassing story about a wedding that I shot. I think this was 3 years ago. So it was a summer wedding. A little backstory before I tell the long version of it. I actually found out that I was pregnant 2 days before I shot this wedding. My brain was a mess, but I figured everything would be okay, whatever. Anyways, so I prepped for the wedding as I normally would. Had all my time set up. I knew what I was supposed to do. Everything was great. So I start by shooting the bride at the bride's house. And then I zip on over to the grooms, shoot the grooms, and then we go to the church to do the church ceremony part. And then after that, so they did their exit, and then after that, I was supposed to go to a park nearby, to take extra photos in between them going back to the property. So what I did is I just got my car, went right back to the property. I was sitting there for a minute. I'm like, okay, why is no one here? So I got out of my car, started walking towards the house, and no one was there. It was like 10 minutes passed by, and I'm like, oh my God, I am supposed to be at this park. So I run back to my car, and I realized that I locked my keys in my car. And not only did I lock my keys in my car, I locked my friggin' backpack with all of my camera equipment. So I'm standing there, side of the road. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even get a hold of anybody. And then, so I'm like, what do I do? And then I saw a stake in the ground, that had like parking here for the wedding. So I ripped it out of the ground, grabbed it, started bashing on my window, trying to bash the window in. And then, so that didn't work. Apparently I'm not strong enough or something. So, and then the mother of the bride, drove up. At first she thought I was trying to break into a car. She didn't realize that I was the photographer, but she came up, she's like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, so I locked all of my camera equipment and my keys in my car, and I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be shooting your daughter at this park, and I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. My mind's a mess. Found out I was pregnant 2 days ago, whatever. She was really awesome about it. So, so I'm like, I have to get into this car. So she ran into the house, and she came back and she gave me a crowbar. So I was like trying to open my door, and I'm like, this isn't working. So I just took it and I smashed my car window in, and then I got my keys, and then I got all my camera equipment, and then, that was it. And it's a pretty funny story. So I did actually miss shooting the bride and groom at this specific park, but they drove back. The mother, called them and let them know about my stupidness, and then they were very understanding, and I ended up staying 2 extra hours for them because I felt really bad, and they really appreciated that. But yeah, it's pretty embarrassing, and yeah, all right, hope you enjoyed that.
Okay, hello, my name is Katie Silva. I am the photographer and owner of Katie Marie Photography. I am a wedding photographer based out of Hamilton, Ontario. I've been doing it for about 5.5 years now. I absolutely love what I do, and I'm so grateful for this life and to be able to document everybody's love stories. I have a few funny stories for you, Sarah, and I know you're gonna like these a lot. We'll just have a moment and kind of laugh at my misfortune here. But here we go. The first one is not wedding related, but it is mini session related, and you're going to get a kick out of this one. So I had mini sessions booked probably the first year I was doing business. I want to say maybe it was my first mini session year. Valuable lesson learned here. And I had a lot of clients book me that I had never met before. I've never really talked to them or seen them in person. They just book me over email, which is cool. That's all right. But I never really know who they are until they show up. A mini session also, as you know, is 15 minutes long usually. So you only get 15 minutes with these clients. It's not like you get a lot of time to meet them or talk to them and all that kind of stuff. So mini sessions are very, very quick. You kind of say hello and you get to shooting. I have a girl show up. She's about my age, so late 20s, and she shows up with a really, really, really young kid. I want to say he looked maybe 4 years old, 5 maybe. So here I'm thinking, okay, mom and son.
perfect, let's start shooting. So I start getting them to do some poses, and I'm like, okay, give mom a big hug. He gives her a big hug. And I'll be like, okay, give mom a big kiss, tell mama she's so beautiful. And he goes and gives her a big kiss and tells her that she's so beautiful. And I'm telling them to do all this mushy shit the entire time, and they're doing it, right? Near the end of the session, I want to say like it was pretty much the full 15 minutes, we're walking back to the car. The girl looks over at me and she's like, by the way, we're actually brother and sister, and we were just doing this for a gift for our mom. At that moment, I don't even know what was worse, the fact that they never corrected me once and they went along with it the entire 15 minutes of all the mushy shit I was getting them to do, or the fact that I called them mom and son the entire time when they were brother and sister. So that was a valuable lesson that I learned very early on, which was always ask who people are and be like, oh, like, are you guys blah, blah, blah before you start shooting? Because it happened to me again where I told a brother and sister to start hugging and kissing, and I thought they were a couple, and it's happened a couple times to me now, so I've learned my lesson, and I always clarify who they are before we start shooting to save myself that embarrassment again. But it was pretty brutal. Like, I sent the pictures off to them. She liked them, and then I never heard back from them ever again. Like, I have never heard from them to this day, so that was super awkward. And then a second story, it didn't really happen to me personally, but it was while I was shooting a wedding. This was absolutely wild, and I'll never forget this moment. So we were at the bride's house in the morning. We were taking all the getting ready photos. She had just finished hair and makeup. We were about to get her into her dress, but she's like, Katie, I really want to go outside and do the champagne popping photo with all my bridesmaids, you know, the classic pop the champagne, everybody's in their robe type situation before they get dressed. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's go outside. So we're getting everything ready. I'm getting all the girls positioned where I want them to sit and stand, and we're missing one of the bridesmaids. So the bride, unbeknownst to me, had already taken off the metal part of the champagne bottle. You know, when you take off the metal part of a champagne bottle, that is the thing that's holding the, like the cork into the bottle. Okay. So keep that in mind. I had not known that she took that off yet. So we're waiting for the other bridesmaid. She's inside doing something. And I'm like, okay, hurry. We got like 5 minutes to do this picture. Like, where's the bridesmaid? We got to get her out here. As we're waiting for the bridesmaid to come out, what happens? The cork explodes. It goes off. The whole champagne bottle pops right into the bride's eye. Okay. She gives herself a black eye, an instant black eye. I'm talking like all colors of black and blue right away. Which at this point, she hadn't even gotten into her wedding dress yet. She has not even left her house. We're all looking at her like, oh my God, is she gonna freak? What's gonna happen? Thank God the makeup artist was still there. She was actually just packing up as this happened. So she quickly threw all her stuff back down, and she's like, oh my God, let me put some concealer on you. We like caked on the concealer. We put some Visine into her eye to get rid of the redness, and that worked like a charm. And we held a bag of peas on her eye the entire ride to the ceremony to keep the swelling down. That makeup artist did such a good job concealing that black eye, you couldn't even tell. Honestly, in pictures, couldn't even tell that she had just knocked herself out with a black eye prior to the ceremony. It was amazing, and the best part was she handled it like such a trooper. I know if it was me and probably anybody else in the world, we would have been freaking out if we gave ourselves a black eye 10 minutes before we left for the ceremony. So she was so cool about it. Her whole entire demeanor was just like, oh, great, I gave myself a black eye, haha, let's go get married. It was awesome. She handled it like such a champ. It's such a funny story. I felt so bad because she had to go to her honeymoon directly after the wedding, and they spent like a couple weeks or something in Europe, and she had a black eye the entire time, but she handled it like such a trooper. And looking back now, I mean, that's a hella funny story to tell your kids one day. So it worked out. Everything was okay. We managed to keep her looking good all day, but oh boy, another lesson learned to always watch the bride or groom or whoever's popping the champagne bottle and say, dude, do not take that metal part off until we're ready to pop, because it will give you a black eye, and I'm not about to go through that again. So these kind of things happen at weddings, and they happen during shooting, and it is what it is. You're going to have awkward moments. I'm probably going to have 10 more by the time I'm done my career. It's a good, funny story to look back on, and just embrace it and make the most of it. Keep the spirits light when stuff like that happens, and you'll get through it. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast, Sarah. I appreciate this opportunity, and I love telling my story. If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram at Katie Marie Photography, and then an underscore at the end. Katie Marie Photography was taken, so I had to do the next best thing and add an underscore on there. So it is Katie Marie Photography _, and then my website's katiemariephotography.ca. I would love to chat if you guys are looking for a wedding photographer. Sarah is also amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and yeah, have a good day.
So there you have it. And I hope your cheeks hurt so much in a good way from listening to this episode, and that you feel less alone, you know, when you fuck up, when embarrassing shit happens to us. I hope that this brought you a ton of laughter and you feel more connected to the community. And speaking about being connected to the community, I would love it and really appreciate it. And I think it would actually be so much fun if you would screenshot this episode right now, share it to your Instagram story, tag me at Sara Monika Photo so I know that you tuned in and you enjoyed it, and also tag the person that you thought their story was the funniest. So that would be so much fun, because then they could feel like, oh yay, someone appreciated my story, and they could feel the love from you too. So yeah, just screenshot it, share it on your Instagram story, tag me at Sara Monika Photo, and then make sure to talk about whose story was the funniest. Share the love, tell photographers to tune in because they'll have a good laugh. And I'm sure they'll be happy to have found a new resource where they can learn more and feel more connected to the community, which is this Shine and Thrive podcast. So yeah, I appreciate your support, appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Yay! Thank you so much for hanging out with me and tuning into this episode. If you got value out of it, please feel free to message me on Instagram at Sara Monika Photo. That's Sarah no H, Monika with a K, photo, to let me know. I get so freaking energized hearing from others that what I've said has had a positive impact on their lives. Also, make sure to hit subscribe to the Shine and Thrive podcast to never miss an episode. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm sending you all the productive vibes your way so you have the best week ever.